How is everybody doing? Are you still going at those resolutions without waver? Still trying to get things done to make your life better? I talked to my cousin Ozzy this week, and he started a new exercise program, and it's just going marvelously well. He started out with 2 5-pound potato bags, and every day he curls them 10 times. Within a week, he's up to 10-pound potato bags, curling them 10 times. Well, I talked to him this week, and he's up to 20-pound potato bags, curling them 10 times, and he's so excited that tomorrow he's thinking about putting a potato in each bag. Okay. Well, how is your life going? I will tell you this right now. Your life right now is the result of 2 things. It's a result of the spiritual attributes and strengths that you use to create the life that you desire. And the second thing is, it's the result of the choices that you've made. Now, I know a lot of people that utilize their spiritual strengths, of faith, of hope, of imagination, creativity, strength, power, but they make bad choices, so their lives really don't improve. And I know a lot of people that make good choices, and they have great dreams and desires and goals, but they don't utilize the strengths and the power within them, and so they always continue to fall short or stumble or give up. So it's a combination of the 2. So when we go to the second part of the spiritual strengths that we have, sometimes I run into people and say, well, I just don't think that I have that. I don't think I have that spiritual strength or spiritual power that you tell me about. And so I tell them this story. 14 billion years ago, and no commentary, please. He's saying, I heard that story before. Let's say 14 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang. First, there was nothing. Big Bang, there was everything. The universe came into creation in less than a second, faster than the snap of the fingers. 10 billion years went past, and nothing significantly changed. But then the Earth was formed about 4 billion years ago, 4.5 billion years ago. And at first, it was just a fiery mist, a big chunk of molten lava out there smoldering in the universe. And then about 1 billion years later, 3.5 billion years ago, something magical happened. Mysterious, wondrous, incomprehensible. Something happened that to this day nobody can explain. Life came into existence. Now just stop and think about that. Life came into existence like that. First there was no life. 13 billion years, then there is life. Magically. And nobody knows where it came from or how it came to be. To this day, when each of us came into the world, nobody can tell us what made our heart start to beat, where that first beat of life came in. They can't tell us that. A lot of theories. Some say it's faith, the great creator in the sky. Other people say it's a chemical reaction. Some people say it was a fluke. A fluke. Now that one particularly gets me, that all of this is a fluke, that life came into being and it evolved forward, and we look about and we see temples and we see cathedrals and we listen to great music and we read great books and all the wonderful people here, and it's just a fluke, it just accidentally tumbled together. No. I don't think that there's anybody in the world, including atheists, that can truly believe that. There has to be a creative design, there has to be a power, there has to be a spirit between all that came to be. So life came to be, and in its beginning stages, it was nothing more than algae, a jelly-like substance that floated on the water. And then came the amoeba, a one-cell, tiny animal that had intelligence and it had resource. It could fend for itself, and within that amoeba, within that one-cell amoeba, there was a design, there was a blueprint, there was a plan of everything that would come to be, all within that one little one-cell amoeba. Nobody interfered from outer space and said, well, gosh, I think we better give a little bit more of a brain to this thing so that they can build a cathedral. It was all right there from the beginning. And then about 3 million years ago, the greatest expression of all life came forth, and that was the human being. You and me. That was our ancestor, great ancestor to the 70th or whatever. The human being came about, and it had a brain that was 100 times greater than any life form before. And it had resources, and it had creativity. And from 3.5 million years ago to today, all of this has come into being. All from the same spirit. all from the same creative force, all from the same life force. We're all part of it. We all share that. There is nobody in here that is different from anybody else when it comes to the spirit within. It's the same spirit, individualized in a very unique way for you and you alone. Now, that spirit, over the last 3.5 million years, has been the primary cause of all that is, of every single person, of every single building, of every artistic expression. It has been that spirit within you. So when people say, I don't think I have those talents, I say, well, if that's the case, then you're not human. You have to be from outer space or something, because every human has that same spirit, that same life force. Every single human being has the same DNA system that's provided for every single step of evolution. You know, in the beginning, it developed the gill system so life forms could breathe underwater. And then when certain life forms were threatened underwater and they took to land in order to continue survival, that spirit allowed them to create a lung system, a respiratory system that we still use to this very day. For some of the animals on land, if they were threatened, that life spirit gave them the ability to create a hard shell. For others, it gave them feathered wings to take to the air. For others, it gave them some sort of a internal poisonous venom that they could protect themselves against the predator. Every living thing that has ever existed has been given everything it needs to live a comfortable and fulfilling life, and that includes us. Now, we've come to the point where our basic physical needs aren't necessarily jeopardized or in danger. I mean, we have food, we have clothing, we have shelter, and that is great, but because we have a greater intellectual being, we also have an emotional realm, which is much, much greater and much more complicated, and so our needs and our desires as human beings often fall in the realm of emotional needs. We want to be happier. We want to have greater peace of mind. We want to be able to be in harmony with the people that are around us in our world in general. We want to live a life that is somewhat serene, that has a sense of well-being, and that allows us to have a real sense of being alive. We want to have a purpose and a meaning, and we've been given every single thing we need to create that. Nobody is excluded from that. The little babies that you saw up here at the beginning of the church service, I mean, they come into this world with everything they need to move through a very comfortable and fulfilling life. Now, many of us think that the babies come into the world and it's our responsibility to teach them and to direct them and to tell them how they should be and what they should become. And to a certain extent, that's true. But also, the babies are here to teach us. They're here to teach us what we have forgotten since we are their age. There wasn't a single baby up here that has a sense of low self-esteem. Not a single one. Did you see any of the babies up here with stage fright? Thinking, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? I'm drooling. Mom, would you please wipe my chin? No. Did you see any up here worried and stressed out? You see any of them up here with a furrowed brow and a pursed lip thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen tomorrow? Will Mom and Dad feed me? Will Mom and Dad love me? Will my diapers get changed? No, they don't worry about that. They don't worry about anything that's happened in the past. No regrets, no remorse, no resentment. And they don't have any fears or anxieties or worries about the future. They have no sense of low self-esteem. They have no discriminations or prejudices against other people. They're just here. They're just being what they are. Now, there's research done at Harvard University, and it was discovered that almost all babies that come into existence have the genius intelligent level when it comes to approaching and figuring out life. Almost all babies, up to the age of 4. By the time these babies are 20 years old, only 10% operate at the genius level. By the time they're 30 years old, only 2% operate at the genius level. Now, on an average, that goes for all of us as well. Now, what I want to know is what happened to that genius? When did we forget how to live the best possible way? Where did it go? What happened? Well, to find that out, we can turn to the story of Adam and Eve in the book of Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Now, just a side note, a national statistic says that 70% of all people that come to church are women. And that statistic holds pretty true for this church. Therefore, when I read from the Bible, I like to read from the version that appeases that 70%. Men, please don't be put off by this. It's called knowing what side the bread is buttered on. Job security, okay? Anyway, in the book of Genesis, it says, and once again, this is from the version that I like the best, it says, God created man, and she sat back and contemplated her creation, and she said, this is good, but I can do better. So she created Eve. God put Adam and Eve as caretakers of the Garden of Eden, and they had absolutely everything they wanted. The fruit was fresh, the water was pure, the air was clear. They were always happy. They had everything. One day they're walking along, and they come across this serpent, the most conniving animal in the world. And the serpent asks them, did God tell you that you couldn't eat from any particular tree? And Adam and Eve said, yes. They said we couldn't eat from that tree in the center, the tree of knowledge. And the serpent says, that's ridiculous. That's the best tree there is. The only reason God said that is because God doesn't want you to know as much as God does. So Adam and Eve eat the fruit. And when they do that, something happens. Now, the tree of knowledge imparts knowledge. And knowledge is what we know. But everybody here knows that what we know isn't always true. A lot of the things we think we know are based on error thoughts. We make a lot of misjudgments. We make a lot of wrong actions and wrong assumptions. So when they eat from the tree of knowledge, what it gives them is the ability to think that they know, and that gives them the ability to judge. Pretty soon they stand back in judgment of the Garden of Eden, of themselves, and of the life they're living. The first thing they do is they look at each other and they recognize their differences because they're naked. And it becomes shameful. And so they hurry away and they cover themselves up. Shame was introduced into the human consciousness for the first time. Then they get to thinking, oh my God, what's God going to do when he finds us? They get afraid. There's a separation between them and God for the first time. They get afraid. They feel guilty. Guilt is entered into the human consciousness for the first time, and they hide. And the third thing that happens is they're afraid. They experience fear because God is going to find them, and they don't know what will happen. They're afraid of the future. They're afraid of what they've done in the past. And from that point forward, life becomes very, very difficult.